There's trenches here in the land of, where are we, actually? What is the name of this place? The Washington Monument? Yeah, we need to go to the Museum of Technology. I don't know what the name of the plaza is. It's not really a plaza. It's because it's a freaking avenue.
What do you want?
I was just checking this place out. You know. You guys are fortified against the Brotherhood of Steel. Did they make all of these places? Or did the Brotherhood of Steel make this and they took it over? I wonder. Because last episode we heard that they apparently see the ghouls as their kin. Which would make some sense. Although it wouldn't make much sense. But there is reason for us to believe that... let me turn my flashlight on. Maybe I should be careful with them around or some... I don't know. It's fine. There is reason to believe that the ghouls are also made out of FEV. Or they're created because of FEV. But either way... Usually it's radiation. At least the original explanation is that it's radiation. What is this? Elephants? The Museum of Technology. Wait, are there just museums? No, this is the museum that we are supposed to go to. For some reason I was thinking it was a different museum. It's got heads in it. Very Art Deco style heads. 50s style and all that. And this metro station is the Museum Gate Station. Or Museum Station. Gate thing. Why did I read gate? Because it's a chain gate to the museum station. That's what it is. Okay, let's go on in then. Okay. How do I go in? Through the front door? Yes, indeed. There's an aeroplane here. Turn the light on so we can see things a little bit better. 1861, quote, Springfield, unquote, rifle musket. They took it. The Type 1861, quote, Springfield, unquote, rifle musket was the standard weapon for the infantry soldier in the American Civil War. It was a muzzle-loaded weapon that fired a .48 caliber, quote, a mini ball, unquote, using percussion caps instead of the traditional flintlock. Almost 1 million of these weapons were manufactured for the soldiers during the war. On loan from the International Ordnance Museum, these cases display the various types of weapons and ammunition used by the military in past conflicts all over the world. Well, weaponry is technology, that's true. I didn't expect that, honestly. We have, X277, quote, Viper, unquote, magnetic rail cannon. This is the only known prototype of the X277, quote, Viper, unquote, magnetic rail cannon developed for the U.S. military by Westech, also commonly referred to as a, quote, railgun, unquote. The weapon uses energy cells to propel a depleted uranium round across a series of magnets, discharging it at an extremely high velocity. Deemed too costly to produce on a mass scale, the project was abandoned in 2044. On loan from the International Ordnance Museum, these cases display the various types. Yeah, that's always going to be the same. The first is what matters. Obviously, everything has been ransacked many centuries ago. Perhaps the most well-recognized weapon in the modern U.S. military arsenal, the M199 earned its nickname, quote, the backtalker, unquote, from the unusual report. The firing mechanism makes as it ejects a spent shell. Firing standard 5.56 rounds, the M199 is still the official infantry weapon of the U.S. Army, on loan from the International Ordnance Museum as per the others. We have a planetarium? So there isn't just a planetarium in New Vegas. There's one in here as well. There's a biplane over here. The Wright Flyer one. This is oh, yeah, it could be. The aircraft above is the original Wright Flyer 1 designed by Orville and Wilbur Wright on December 17th, 1903 in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The vehicle performed its maiden flight for a mere 12 seconds, covering a distance of only 120 feet. This historic event marked the first sustained and controlled heavier-than-air-powered flight. Yeah, very important, because because the whole flight thing, it's not the first people to fly, because lighter than air flight was a thing already, I'm pretty sure, for a few years. So I think, yeah, definitely by the late 19th century there was already hot air balloons. We have a few entries over here sorted by date. You can see that the date is 2076, for example, over here. 0202, that would be probably the American way, which would mean the 02 would be the day, and the 02 at the end would be the month. Potentially. Would it? No, it wouldn't, because the American way is the other way around. It would be first the day, no, sorry, first the month, and then the day, and then the year. This one is probably the programmer way, which is no dashes, just a string, so you can sort it easily. Anyway, let's see what this is. Can someone please fix the planetarium projection system? The automated system that was just installed is prone to malfunctions at least once a week. We've had to interrupt the programming more times than I care to remember and end up taking over manually. I suggest we remove the system and bring the human element back so the audience will feel more engaged. And that's from the research lead, B. Bell. And then we have later on, I'd like to lodge a formal complaint regarding the firearms exhibition, capital F, capital E, that is planned for temporary display in the atrium. With the world tensions the way they are right now, I feel it's highly inappropriate to glorify these killing devices by promoting them as a tourist attraction. If this is some sort of patriotic gesture, then it is entirely lost upon me, and I urge you to rethink this decision. Again, the research lead, who clearly hadn't played Fallout 3. Because of the, you know, the Fallout is, it sort of glorifies a little bit of the nuclear explosions and stuff. Fallout 3 does a little. Either way, not least of which the fact that things don't get too destroyed 200 years after a nuclear holocaust that consumed the whole world. That's a little bit of, yeah, that's, yeah. This game doesn't strike the right tone with the nuclear weapons, I don't feel. But either way, it's fine. That's not what that log is about. This log over here, this is just a quick rundown of acquisitions we have been awarded for 2078. If any of the acquisitions, yes indeed, if any of these interest you, please stop by and see me so we can discuss it or submit a standard research request before the cutoff date. All submissions must be made by October 2nd, 2077. That would be 3 weeks before the war. So now it is time to get them in. Supersonic Airliner ZAX computer prototype, original model T-45D power armor suit, laser pistol prototype. The T-45D, that's the power armor that we saw the Brotherhood, that we have, I think, from B. Bell, research lead, of course. In fact, we have not equipped, because we can't, at least I don't think so. Right there, power armor training is required to equip. Yeah, it's this one. And the original, the one in Fallout 1 and 2 is well, actually in Fallout 2 you have a Power Armor Mark 2, and I don't remember the name or the number, but it is, I think, T-51B. It could be. I don't. Why is the game giving me Xbox 360 controls? I wonder. I mean, I know why, but I always the controller is removed. Anyway, the game freaked out. Don't worry about it. Our new addition to the space flight gallery, the Virgo 2 lunar lander, is now open to the general public and ready for viewing. I want to extend a hearty thank you and job well done to the entire research and restoration team for pulling that pile of junk out of mothballs and putting it in such fine shape. Many sleepless nights were spent on this project, and as a small token of our thanks, you will find a substantial bonus in your next paycheck. Give each other a pat on the back, ellipses. You have earned it. Again, from the same person. The virus that has been plaguing our archetype model FF06 mainframe due to an unknown attack has finally been localized by our research team and identified. After a complete cleanup on the mainframe's core, I am happy to announce that the infection has been removed, ellipses. The soul of this machine has improved. The soul of this machine has improved. I don't think we got a stealth way here. Nice. I don't think it was cleared. the virus. I think the machine is sentient. I think that's what that last message is. This is the Robco, quote, Stealth Boy, unquote, Model 3001's personal stealth device developed by Robert Mayflower. The Stealth Boy generates a modulating field that transmits the reflected light from one side of an object to the other, making the bearer almost invisible to the untrained eye. Yes, indeed. And it looks very cloak field device kind of thing, and it's pretty cool. There's super mutants in here. Museum information. Do they have any sort of automated defense system that killed the super mutants? That column broke in a very uncolumn-like way, because it is not a real column, most likely. Weird. Let's see what we have over here. Exhibit guide. Transportation exhibits. The Museum of Technology is proud to present a journey through the history of ground transportation. Take a step back in time and see the original steam-powered car and the development of the internal combustion engine. Experience the rise of micro-sized nuclear power and walk through our 2-story mock fusion engine to see what happens firsthand when you turn the key. Exhibit sponsored by the Chrysler Corporation, which at the end of the war, or at the end of the world, they were pushing their new electric powered car, the Chrysler Corvega, I believe, but Bethesda misunderstood the advert that we see at the beginning of the Fallout 1 and thought that all cars were electric, and so in Fallout 3 all cars are electric, which is a departure from what Fallout 1 and 2 teaches us. The Museum of Technology is proud to be the home of some of the original prototypes in the Mr. Handy, Mr. Gutsy, and Protectron robotic lines. See the development of these metallic assistants and how they have made our lives easier. Play our artificial intelligence game where you will program a robot and watch it obey your commands in real time! After seeing what makes them tick, you'll never look at your robot the same way again. Exhibit sponsored by Robco and General Atomics International. And then we have flight exhibits over here. Take to the skies and soar above the clouds as you view our artificial exhibits throughout the Museum of Technology. The original Wright Brothers Flyer, the vintage World War II P-51 Mustang, and several other aircraft can be found hanging about the museum. Also, be sure to visit our Flight Experience Gallery, capital F, capital E, capital G, where you can take a simulated airline flight on board a full-size jetliner or step into the hair-raising white-knuckle world of air traffic control in our Tower of Terror, capital T, exhibit, sponsored by Lockreed Industries. Why did you make it Lockreed, Bethesda? I don't think this is an original game name. Why don't you just call it Lockheed? They existed already in the 50s. So, you know, the storyline departure between real-world history and Fallout history could have happened either way. It's Lockheed. They are talking about Lockheed. Take to the skies yet. That is the thing that I was reading. Spaceflight exhibits. Countdown to excitement as you take to the stars in our brand new Spaceflight Gallery, capital S, capital G. Marvel at men's ingenuity as you view an exact replica of the Virgo 2 moonlander that participated in the first manned moon landing. And look at that. It's exactly what I was just talking about. The split history of Fallout. Even though the war happened in 2077, and even though the original game was made in 1997, and of course Fallout 3 was made later, but the real life events between the 50s generally and modern day didn't actually happen in Fallout, at least in the same way. The US was still the first to put people on the moon. It was the Virgo 2 moonlander, apparently. I don't think this is established in the first two games, but definitely there are other things that are established like that, where things went a little bit different in real life, or in Fallout, than they did in real life. Anyway, dabble with forces beyond your comprehension, because you're probably a first grader or something, in our working G-Force simulator ride, or take to the stars in the Copernicus Planetarium exhibit sponsored by the United States Space Administration, also known as NASA, I believe. Right? Is that what it is? Am I wrong in thinking that that's what NASA is? Special events. Vault-Tec's Vault of Tomorrow. Capital V, capital T. Thanks to a generous grant from the Vault-Tec Corporation, the Vault Tour, capital V, capital T, is open to the public. Walk through a section of actual Vault and observe all of the modern conveniences Vault-Tec has added to its now legendary nuclear fallout shelters. Interact with the exhibits within the vault and see just how life within one of these subterranean marvels is as comfortable as living at home. Time tickets for the tour are now available at the information desk, capital I, capital D, in the main atrium. You can guess where the capitals go there. Westech Power Armor demo as well. Westech, the world's leading arms manufacturer, demonstrates the T-51B power armor suit in our Darwin Theater. Capital D, capital T. Get a first-hand look at how the armor is designed and defeat any type of adversary with an actual live combat simulation using robotic targets. Time tickets are available at the information desk in the main atrium. Note that a liability waiver must be signed to attend this event. I wonder if that's a reference to RoboCop or something like that. The fact that a liability waiver must be signed. Because, you know, power armor and RoboCop. Anyway, lecture Oppenheimer's Folly. Now, there are... I've made many videos in my channel. And I am not 100% sure who Oppenheimer was, but I have been very confused about who Oppenheimer was. I believe Oppenheimer was the first person to split the atom. And that's where nuclear fusion, or nuclear fission, comes from. No, fusion is different. It isn't science fiction because it's well understood how fusion works. What is science fiction is using nuclear fusion for harnessing in electricity, which in Fallout it exists. We have microfusion cells and stuff like that, and in these, we've seen mention of that in these computers. Now, the nuclear weapon, or a nuclear bomb, as well as a nuclear reactor, a conventional nuclear reactor anyway, uses nuclear fission, as far as I know, or as far as I remember. And Oppenheimer, and it's fission because it splits the atom, and in splitting the atom, it generates, or it doesn't generate, it releases a lot of energy because of the weak nuclear force, I think is what it's called. The strong nuclear force. Yeah, it's the weak nuclear force. I'm not a physicist, so I don't know exactly. But either way, there's a force in nature that maintains atoms together, and it's very powerful, as it turns out. Yeah, so a nuclear weapon works just more or less the same way a nuclear reactor does, except in the case of a nuclear weapon, you don't. You basically let the nuclear reaction go run amok, and basically it just escalates until there's no more fuel. Well, it's not quite like that, but still, that's the gist of it. And whereas in a nuclear reactor, so it runs amok in a nuclear bomb, but in a nuclear reactor, you just sort of contain it and just try to maintain it stable. And you do it with like special science things and all that, and it's all very well understood, generally speaking. But it's still fission, I think. Oppenheimer's Folly. Let's read it. Oppenheimer's Folly. A lecture by Professor R.J. Gumby. This lecture explores the very real possibility that nuclear war may not be as far off as we think, and the effects it will have on the future of our planet. That's kind of interesting. May not be as far off as we think. That is more or less how, apart from the Duck and Cover book that I believe exists in Fallout 1 and 2, maybe only in Fallout 2, and I think it exists in this game as well. It kind of changes the theme, but it is more or less well established that the world before the war didn't really take the threat of nuclear devastation seriously, and it's more well established in the second game than it is in the first one, and I think in relation to the way the war with there's one particular holotape that you read at the end of Fallout 2 where the president I think bombs or does something to China. It bombs them or something, does something like or declares war or something like that. And it's played as a joke, and I'm playing this off of memory, so I might be wrong about the details. But in that particular holotape, it said that the vast majority of people, like 95%, think that the president is declaring war to serve as a detraction, or as just sort of a diversion from his sexual scandals in the White House. And it's played as a joke because that kind of betrays a very strong lucidity of the. It's difficult to think of it as a strong lucidity, but bear with me here. It kind of betrays lucidity from the public that definitely didn't exist in the world of Fallout, because the media just. I mean, we see the power that and like how slanted everything is in public speeches and television and adverts and all that in the world of Fallout before the war. So we know that media had a huge control over public opinion, just like much more than it does in real life, but it also does in real life, obviously. But what does happen though is that wars and international policy, historically speaking, in the United States is also ruled by internal strife. And there are multiple occasions where the United States, maybe, but also declaring wars, but maybe not just declaring wars, but doing international things to either bolster public perception internally or things like that, and it's completely unrelated to international interests of the United States. So the U.S. declaring war on China or something like that would potentially be as a way to detract from the president's sexual scandals, but it also, the public wouldn't think of it like that. But it is played as a joke, so it's kind of a weird thing. Either way, I do believe that the people did not think that the war was going to happen, but I think that is just because at least the way Fallout is written is just because the people didn't. The media didn't really worry about that a whole lot. Anyway, by illustrating past uses of smaller-scale atomic weapons, Professor Gumby will shock you, frighten you, and make you wish you could just duck and cover, capital D, capital C, and survive a real nuclear attack. Tickets are now available for this lecture series at the information desk in the main atrium. And then we have other things as well. Can I just get the tickets? Yeah, there's a few things in here. And then we have the Gigantamax tickets. I'm not 100% sure what that is a reference to. I know that IMAX is a type of theater, but I also don't know what it means, because I'm not a huge theater nerd. And then we have 000 here. Hey there, Jigs. I finally found a good place to ditch your share of the loot. It was hell getting here, but I managed it. I left the usual breadcrumbs all over some of the info terminals in this place. Their computer security was a joke. Complete the sequence and you're home free. But make any mistakes and the system will lock you out. We'll meet up in the usual spot later. Good luck, Prime. So the number changed. Error. Sequence locked. What? Dog meat. Okay, let me reload. So when I click here, is it when I click here? No. It's when I click here. I hear something. I hear something. Note added. Tech museum loot. We got the lander here. Washington Monument access. Yeah, don't worry about that. Complete the sequence. What could that be about? It's about those numbers. There's an order to those numbers. Does the game really lock me out of that if I just click on that? Or go for it? Because I didn't see a back button, so that's why I'm a little bit concerned. Oh. It goes. There's a lot of blood. I wonder if I can drink... If I can drink from these without taking radiation, by the way. Nope, cannot. Really cannot. Because I have the purifier. Although it might make the radiation go down a little. I don't know. I have that food purifier thing. Not the perk. There's a perk that allows you to take less radiation. I don't exactly know how it's worded, but there's definitely one. I also have a lot of junk on me. Oh, it's right. It's not junk. It's well, it's Nuka-Colas for one, but it's not just Nuka-Colas. It's also the power armor. Okay, so we don't have anything here. Oh, come on, dog meat. Let's go upstairs. See what we have.